I'm just logging on right now to
Oh my God.
Twitch comments.
That was close to my favorite set. If not my favorite set of Parks and Rec.
I'm watching an ad right now before I see the stream. A lot of realistic war video games. Ah, there's the chat room. Great. Okay, so I see that 7 people are here. Um, welcome to. Oh, hey, Char. I mean, hey, Haley. Good to see. Good to see you on here. Yeah. So while we wait for a little bit, um, just go ahead and like introduce yourself in the chat. Say your name, your pronouns, and what your first email address was. Or alternatively, if you can't remember that, or if it's boring, or if you just like don't want to share it, you can share an anecdote of like a early email memory. I think we're all at like I think around the day and age where everyone can kind of remember an email kind of came into their lives. And I think that's just a really cool, unique part. Oh, is that Max is here? Hi, Max. Wow. Max's first email was ewokmax at AOL.com. I was also an AOL.comer. Um, Ewok, is that like Star Wars? Kyle. Hello, Kyle. Um, Kyle Burlaw. Another AOL.com. That's right. AOL is where it's at. I really want to know, Lee. That just makes me want to know more. I'm going to share my first email. It's kind of embarrassing. Not really. I mean, like, I think everyone. Juggling cat. That's the coolest email ever. And you got it. You got it just like straight juggling cat. Like you're not juggling cat 27. You're the juggling cat. Just saying. That's like the coolest email. Lost. Yeah, lost emails. We need like a little email graveyard for everyone's lost emails. I still have my email, but sending an email to that email is the equivalent of screaming into the void because I had that email and I didn't. It just turned into my like junk email, and so like whatever I used to sign up for, like just had the audacity to add me to their email list, and then I never checked the email. So it might as well be gone, but I still use it for junk stuff. I'm gonna wait like 2 more minutes. Also, can everyone hear me okay? Because I boosted my volume in OBS, but I I can even make it louder. But if this is a good volume, let me know. Or if I'm like obnoxiously loud, also let me know that because I don't want to be loud. Darch says, I think my first email was spdarch@hotmail.com. First Hotmail of this afternoon. Very exciting. It's always a good time to have someone who used to go to Hotmail. Hotmail was always like the chaotic, like like if I were to like assign personalities from like the alignment chart, like Hotmail was like I'd say chaotic neutral. This is a pretty interactive workshop. You don't have to interact at all, but a lot of it is about like discussion, about email. Because what I kind of have in store is just a lot of stories about email. Email has been around for a while. In the time scale of the internet, like if you take the internet, the time scale of the internet, and then you mark where email started, it's like pretty ancient in terms of like the other technologies. It was made in 1971, so there's a lot of stories that come along with email. So I'm telling a few here today, and also I'm going to talk about the protocol itself, so the SMTP protocol, and how you can hypothetically hand send an email. We got a great. And so basically, like through my presentation, I'm going to keep my eyes on the chat because I really want to hear everyone's input. Just because email has been in our lives forever, we each have our own personal stories and histories of email. I'm not an expert in email. I've just taken an interest to it. I'm not even an expert in like my email server. As you'll see, it's like my email server is like there are better email servers out there for sure. So that is to say, I acknowledge that a lot of the knowledge that you have is extremely important and valuable, and so I'm very excited to have this conversation with everyone here today. So, yes, Darch being a translation of my last name, Mork. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry, which means dark, but spelled with a ch instead of a k. Oh, it's Mork. I made up on the spot when signing up. Wonderful. Hello, I'm Emil. I thought my first email address was froggycool22 at Comcast. Yes! Ooh, that one's good. froggycool22. Alrighty, okay, so 16 people are here. It's 3:05. I'm just going to start my presentation. Okay, hey everyone. I'm Char. My pronouns are she, her, they, them. And this workshop is about email. And on top of being Char, I am also an avid email user, and that is my certification for teaching this email workshop. That's right, you can teach an email workshop too. And my first email was kangagoo2 at AOL.com, chosen by me when I was in 4th grade. I wanted to be just Kangagoo, but I decided to be Kangagoo2 because it rhymed with Kangagoo. Oh, and my sister's email was, she had an email before me, my older sister. Her email was Winnie Shampoo, and so I was really into rhyming at that time, I guess. I don't know. But I'm very jealous of everyone who got like just their email without any like numbers or anything like that. Okay, so I'm gonna give you the little preview of what we're going to be doing. So this presentation might end up taking more than 30 minutes because it's like 70 something slides. It might go faster. I've gone through like 60 slides before in like 15 minutes. You'll see my slide presentation method. It's pretty quick. But it might take a little longer just because I'm really hoping, oh great, Lee says, take as long as you want, great. No limit on time, but I also want to be like this, like just so you know, like if you have like things to do afterwards and stuff like that, like this is like my general plan. And also, if you have to leave at any point, that's fine. This is going to be on Babycastles channel, I assume, so you can go back and watch it. But I really like the interactivity, so I really appreciate everyone taking the time to be here live and watching me at 1x speed. You know, can you do like 2x speed on Twitch? I don't know. Okay, cool, great. Emil says, I was 12 and very into frogs. Yes. Okay, cool. Also archive on youtube.com/babycastles. Okay. All right, so we're all here. We're all watching the screen. Let's get excited about email. But why? After all, email, like many of the technologies we use today, is a wartime tool. It was made for the ARPANET, commissioned kind of by DARPA, and it was made by Roy Tomlinson, who's working at what is now known as Raytheon, or Raytheon. I think that's what it's pronounced. It's like it basically is like a Department of Defense research, and so that's the kind of like email has this dark past where it comes from like military um, research, but in an interview of Roy Tomlinson, the inventor of email, he said that he wasn't actually supposed to be working on email. He was actually supposed to be working on, right here, this is a quote by him, I'm not going to read the whole thing. He's supposed to be working on AI stuff to figure out ways of where humans and machines can interact, some of the early natural language recognition. This was in 1971. I think that it's kind of like a glimpse into like what playful interaction, or rather free flow kind of research can develop into something like email. So he wasn't even supposed to be working on email. Actually, when he made email, his coworkers told him to not talk about it and kind of hide it away because it wasn't it wasn't necessarily, they didn't think that ARPA was going to want it. But Raytheon. Oh, someone corrected. Yes, Raytheon. Yeah, he worked for Raytheon. I think it was called like BPP or something back then, or BBP. So that's where it came from. And in this interview, he was very much like defensive on the fact of like he was talking about how he's like, I never thought about what my tools, the things that we worked on were being used for. I was very apolitical in that way. We see that again and again in history of technology, of the kind of violent silence that happens. And I just wanted to kind of call it out just because like this type of like elbow rubbing of technology and like militarization is just a reoccurrent theme in our history with tech. And as like creative technologists, I don't know if anyone here also identifies as like a coder, but it's always important to kind of like observe that in our past and be aware of it. So that's why I included this. And if you want the PDF, this is actually a really interesting PDF where Ray talks about all the different how email really came to be, like the kind of social structures around that, and like the bureaucracy of the birth of email. And there's also strife on exactly like who invented email. So if you look up like who invented email, some of the first search results you get is from a person named Shiva Ayyadurai, Dr. Ayyadurai. And he claims to have made email when he was 14. It's a pretty amazing story. He says he was an immigrant and he came to learn in a lab in New Jersey, and they gave him this task of creating an in-office networking communication system. And he came up with the term email. And he also kind of was like a leader in, or rather, he invented some of the uses of file attachments that we still use today. So he's a very big, like, important figure in email creation. But he did not technically invent email, but he's very adamantly saying that he invented email. And it's this kind of like big fight because he's very like strongly upset with the fact that he's not credited as like the inventor of email, and now he's a very interesting figure. He's now kind of like peddling anti-vax stuff. So he's very like colored figure. I love the ASCII art. Yeah. So something about the ASCII art is some of the ASCII art I made, and those are the ones without initials at the bottom. If they have initials at the bottom, like that's kind of like how like the ASCII art community credits folks. And so any ASCII art with like initials at the bottom, that is the credit to the ASCII artist, and it's kind of like the only kind of credit one could find I guess because ASCII art has been around for so long. Oh, and there's also spam email. This is one of the lowest voted Stack Overflow questions. I don't know how many other folks on here are programmers, but Stack Overflow is the kind of canonical way to ask coding questions. And then this email, someone is asking just kind of nonchalantly, how do I send 100,000 emails a week? And this person was adamantly downvoted. Um, and I can't imagine what 100,000 emails a week would look like if not for spam. Okay, so why? Well, for me and many others, email is the only method of long distance communication that doesn't necessarily have to rely on big tech companies or the government. So, for example, like snail mail does rely on the government, um, and any other kind of like long distance communication that you use. Um, it probably goes on like Amazon servers, or you use Gmail or something like that. Well, Gmail is email, but that's because Google uses SMTP and wrote their own email client, but SMTP doesn't need Gmail to exist, as you'll see later today. But like like any kind of like Facebook Messenger, which I use every day, it's obviously Facebook. And also, this is a call to really take a second to appreciate tools that already exist instead of trying to constantly reinvent kind of aspects of our life, because sometimes maintenance can be more innovative or more. Right. So innovation can kind of get kind of boring sometimes. I guess Elon Musk was onto something when he named his company that. But like I think maintenance on something that already exists can be more innovative. That's what I was trying to say. So it's like you maintain something that already exists. It's a little bit more radical than trying to reinvent something, I feel like, nowadays. Oh yeah, okay. So and also there's like a lot of really cool email projects out there. There's Enron by Sam Levine-Tiga Brain, which is it takes the Enron email archive, which is this database that was released by a energy company, or that was needed to release because the energy company had gotten some legal trouble, and so they needed to like release all their emails, to reveal all the corruption that was happening inside the company. And two artists, Sam Levine and Tiga Brain, took that archive that is available and open for all to use, that is constantly being used for researchers to train natural language processing, and the two artists will send you those emails over a course of 7 years, 14 years, or 28 years. So you can choose to get 49 emails a day. I think this is a great piece. Oh, there's Clearteria. So this is like a email raffle list where everyone's on this, like a bunch of people are on this email list, and then if you win like the raffle, then you just get to send one email to everyone on the list, and usually it's this kind of like out there, really woo-woo emails that people like to send. It's never really like advertising or anything like that. It's just like kind of like, this is what's going on in my life. There's the email. I mean, there's the game called Kind Email. You can look that up on Twitch. It's basically like where you're like a character and you're in a room, and then you write like nice emails to your friends, and then you actually send the emails. Lots of Miranda July projects rely on email. Like she has this piece that is where she like gets celebrities to send like mundane. Oh, I think it's called mundane email, where she gets celebrities to send mundane emails to like a list of like, I guess, art collectors. Someone says, oh, Emil says, I love searching the Enron corpus. Looking for things like burn CD or playlist can be funny. Yes, those are really, really words of the time. I miss burning CDs and making my friends playlists. Those were all really good times. Let's bring it back. Oh, and I have 2 email fun facts for you. So this is in the specification of email. So like, let's say your email is myemail@emaildomain.com. You can add a plus and then whatever you want after that, and the email will get sent to your your email without like as it was without the plus, but it's a way to like track who sends the email. So like let's say like you're signing up for a newsletter and you say like my email at like the name of the newsletter at emaildomain.com. And then if you get like a spam from that email with the plus and then the name of the newsletter, you know like where the leak happened. Or in like my case, I've a few times I have used it as a very tiny diary where someone's like, what's your email? And then you say like, oh, Char Stiles plus feeling good today at charstiles.com or whatever. And then they like send you an email back and say, oh yeah, I was feeling good that day, something like that. And then also you can this is mostly in Gmail, but Gmail will like, and so follows a lot of email clients. It will ignore dots, so I can be Char Styles, or I can be Char Stiles. So you can just put dots wherever you want, and Gmail will ignore it, and I think a lot of other email clients will too. Oh, and I said in the description we talk a little bit more about email's natal chart, but things I wanted to bring up is in email's natal chart, it is most likely Libra because Ray said that he made email in October. Technically, email could still be a Scorpio, but let's be honest, email is not a Scorpio. I feel like email does not have any like ulterior motives, or email is like not very like an intense thing. Um, I'm being serious, but I'm also not being serious. If you didn't know this about like astrology, is that anything can have a natal chart, and astrologers will use the natal chart of like let's say like a presidency or the country's birth to like kind of tell the future about whatever X thing. And so I was like, you could technically do this with email because we have a year, we have a place, Cambridge, that's where Ray was working, and we have like a month. And so the things you can ignore are the Mercury because that changes like 15 to 60 days. And so it's like a 50-50, or rather like a like small chance that it's not a, let's see, Mercury, it's not a Libra Mercury. But anyways, yeah, I'm pretty sure email is a Libra. So if you're also a Libra, you have kindred spirit with email. I can go over that more. Like I can do like a fuller reading. I got kind of like into astrology just because like 2020 has been like a horrible, like unpredictable time. So I got into astrology just to kind of calm my nerves. So I mentioned before, any other? Okay, cool. So I mentioned before that there are a lot of stories about email. Um, this one is related to um, how you can. Okay, I'll just tell a story. So when Linux was being developed by the Linux community, it was hosted on a company, so a private company servers called Bitkeeper. And that was really the only way that you could work on an open source project with multiple developers. So basically, it was like on Linux was on their servers, and they would maintain it through there. And then around 2005, Bitkeeper started rolling out kind of like a paid plan. And the Linux community was like not about that at all. Open source software should be free. We can't like have any sort of like money to make this project. And so there was almost like a division in the community. And Linus Torvalds, who was the person who made Linux, and Linux is also named Linux after like himself. He kind of like shut away for a little bit and was quiet for a few days. And then he came out and he's like, okay guys, I made Git. And everyone's like, what's Git? And he's like, well, it's this like way that you can maintain projects using any kind of arbitrary server. And specifically, they used email to maintain Linux, and also Git itself is maintained through email. And so if you're not a programmer, or if you're kind of like programming adjacent, GitHub is like where a lot of open source projects are stored, and a lot of people will use Git to access things on GitHub. GitHub itself is kind of counter to the initiative intentional use of Git, because GitHub is different than Git. GitHub uses Git, but Git itself is a separate language. And it's kind of ironic that GitHub is now this like thing that people think Git exists for, or the only thing that they use Git in, when it doesn't have to. And it's also like this big company that owns all the servers, aka Microsoft. Uh, so um, so it's an ironic way that like Git is being used mostly in GitHub now, sadly. So that's, oh, and another thing about so maintaining a project through email instead of, let's say like, like the GitHub user face, it creates, so basically how it's done is you have, it's, you send, so there's an email, there's a server where your project is on, and that server also has an email list serve. And how you create like change in the repo, in the repository, is that you send a patch to the email list, and you discuss why you did it. And then that email server will broadcast that email to everyone, all the developers that are subscribed to the project. And then the patch becomes self-documented by the email chain. And so it creates a more discussion-based way to maintain a project, as opposed to kind of like in using just Git, you can really just like, submit your change, and then like only one person has to look at it and approve it. So someone says, oh, Lee says SourceHut, an alternative to GitHub, uses email for collaboration instead of GitHub's pull request system. Awesome. I have to try that. I haven't used SourceHut like you're describing. I never tried it, but I'm hoping to be inspired by this workshop to try it. Yes, me as well. I really want to use the email patch system, because a big dream of mine is to contribute to FFmpeg, and which is this command line tool that is used to manipulate images. And when I'm not talking about email, I'm a visual artist, and I love using FFmpeg to create like mashups, or to edit my videos really quickly, or edit a bunch of videos, because I work a lot with like data sets. And FFmpeg is a great way to, for example, create 2-second GIFs from 3 2-hour movies. You can just do that in like one command line, and then like a minute later you have all your GIFs. And so I really want to contribute to FFmpeg, but I'm not at that level yet, I don't think, in my programming journey. So alas. Okay, well, now that we did a little email story time, and we talked about our personal histories with email, and we had a quick look into email's natal chart, I really want to look into email's future and see what email's future is. We'll see. But so let's get a little bit into the technicalities. What is SMTP? SMTP stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. As simple in the name, it's like the most naive, adorable protocol you've ever come across. So this is in the RFC, which stands for Request for Comments, which is the database of internet specifications. So any kind of like internet protocol is defined by an RFC, and I want to show you like what an RFC, SMTP. Here we go, Simple Mail Trans. So this is what an RFC looks like. It's very like unassuming, but it's things like this that basically define how the internet works, and it has like all the different kind of like things you could ever ask about for email. And I'm gonna show you basically like the kind of like overview of this, and not go into like any of like the specifics, obviously, because it's like huge. But yeah, I just really wanted to show it to you because it's, yeah. And here's this is the basic structure that I have in that slide. And let's go back to so the basic structure is you just have your user, your file system, your sender SMTP, and then the server, the receiver server, and then your file system. So it's just really simple. And so, and how you could technically like hand send an email through your terminal. this is basically like the how email was dreamt to work in 1971. Um, so how SMTP by itself works is that you connect to something that can connect to ports. So like something like Telnet. So if you're in like a Windows, you can use your command prompt to open up a Telnet command line tool, and then you say the input to Telnet is your email server that you're going to use to send the email. Sadly, SSH, you can't use SSH. I don't think so. You probably have to do some hacking because I really wish I could give you a better answer, but I don't think you can use SSH because it's, well, first of all, this I'll go over a little bit. Like this doesn't necessarily work just because like email is no longer what it was. But I think you need something that can connect to ports. And I think SSH. Oh, there is a special SSH port. Okay, sorry. This always happens to me where like someone asks me a question and then I'm like I don't know, and then in 2 seconds I'm like, oh wait, yeah, I do know. Okay, so SSH is like a different port, and email is port 25. And so Telnet is something that's simpler than SSH. Um, that uh, that that you can kind of just send things to exports or whatever. So I think you can like technically like do other things with Telnet and Netcat. So Netcat is the one that's on like Mac and Linux. So in Linux it's Netcat, and that's NC right here. Hopefully that answers your question. So you would say what you're using, like your port connector, and then the server, and then you specify port 25. And this is for regular email. There is such thing as like secure email transfer, and that's, I forget what port that is, but it's a different port. But yeah, and then you say hello. That's part of the protocol, HELO, or you could do EHLO. I'm not sure why those two are interchangeable. And then you say your server name again, and then you have the SMTP banner after that. And what that is basically whatever you want. It's just built into the protocol that you can just have your SMTP banner be whatever you want. And then the server, after receiving the hello identifier, will return with its like greeting back to you, which is really nice. And then you start writing your email. So the first thing you write is mail from and then your email address. And keep in mind that there is no logging in beforehand. Like this is just something you can do with like a computer that like just comes in the mail or whatever. You just say who you are. And I think that that's the most adorable thing about email is that it's so trusting. You just say who you are, mail from, hello. And then you say who this is to, email address.com, for example. And then you just say data to like signify you're starting your message. And then the next few headers are specifically for email clients. So like you know how you can get an email from someone you've never received an email before, nor they're in your address, and it'll say like email from, Stephanie, and you're like, oh, okay, this email's from Stephanie. It's because uh, your email client read the header that specifies who this is from. So like a human readable name, that's not an email. And so you say from, and then you whatever display name you want, and then their email again, and then to, and then whoever this is to, their human readable name that's not an email, and then their email address. And then you say your subject, say hello, this is the email body. Well, and then this can be whatever you want, so except for the subject. So subject, colon, and your subject, and then enter, and then you just write your email. Goodbye. And then to end the message, you just have a period on its own line. Like when SMTP was made, they're like, okay, it's like a sentence. Let's just put a period at the end. So there's a period on one line that ends the email. So this one, okay, cool. Also, yeah, like I said, if anyone joined right now, I see we're at 22 people. This is like an interactive presentation. So if at any point you have any questions or something interests you, let me talk a little bit more about it. I've been kind of researching this for a little over a year now, I'd say. And so I have like some things to say. I don't know everything. Oh, and if you have any fun facts, please Let me know. I'm all about email fun facts. Okay, so we're not done. So once you have the period. Oh wait, yeah, no, we're done. Sorry. Yes, we're done. It's that easy. Oh, but it's not that easy. Oh, I'm waiting till the end to ask about send mail. I'm not sure I know about send mail, to be honest. Just to like not disappoint you. um, Dan Richmond says hi. Great. Oh, but the thing is, if you were to try to send an email like exactly the way that I just did, I actually had a workshop where I was like, we're all going to send an email by hand and we're all going to do this. I ran into so many issues first with if you're doing this on like a home router, a lot of times the port that you use to send email this way is closed because like when like you know Verizon or whatever comes. Do you get internet from Verizon? What is Spectrum? When Spectrum comes to set up your router, they'll like they have it configured so that you only use it for internet browsing. They don't have it configured so you can like host a website using the Wi-Fi. You don't have it so that you can have an email server running on your home Wi-Fi. So they block all those ports just to like protect the customer. And so in the workshop, I ran into that issue first, and the second issue I ran into um, was the email just kept bouncing back just because it didn't have like the special certifications layered on top, because email is kind of turned into like this Frankenstein of of things. So for example, like I have oh I think I closed it, but I had some examples of like of exactly like what email has transformed into oh wait, I have it here. But like you use like IMAP and like POP. So I think IMAP or POP is used for like extensions on top of it. So you can have extensions and oh, anyways, yeah, maybe I'll go over that at the end if we have time, like more of like what email structure has become. Uh, and like basically, yeah, so it's like a Frankenstein of a protocol, much like any old technology of the internet. If you've ever been like a front end developer or any kind of web developer, you've kind of run into the way that technologies that are old and been kind of like grandfathered in from like a previous time where you could be really trusting when there was only like 20 people on the internet and you knew all of them. There's been all these like kind of security patches on top of how email works. So why? So why are we getting excited about email, Char? Like you brought us all here today. Oh, someone says yes. SMTP is older than POP IMAP. I think. Um, I could be wrong though. I mean, a lot of times, like with the history of these things, it could be like they were developed separately and then they kind of came together. Um, but someone says Shady Moss says I was surprised a few years ago when I realized I could send an email from anyone on my work's domain. But for the same reason, I had so much trust in that protocol. I had special access to the mail server, so it's not a normal situation. Yes, yes, that is called. So when you like go when you like send like let's say if you were to say mail from instead of like my actual email that I have access to, if I were to say like Yoda at starwars.com, that's called, and then it would like it could send the email, um, or something more malicious like the president of the United States or something like that. That's called email spoofing, and that's like there's like a whole history on that. And I think like it's not there's less of a thing of that anymore. So like if you were to try email spoofing just using this method, I don't think it would go through. Okay, so but are emails like images? If you send like 30 emails a second, is it like way better? Because like one image is good, but 30 images a second makes a video. Right? One email is good, but 30 emails a second better. But no, that's not. That's spam. So emails are not like images. But why? So I was trying to think of like, okay, so how can I make email more interesting? How can I spice it up a little bit? Um, so I was thinking, what's hot right now? Well, there's Bitcoin is so hot, cryptocurrency, 3D printing, super hot, machine learning, the hottest. Uh, and I was thinking of like, what's at the intersection of all these things? Machine learning, 3D printing, and Bitcoin. Well, they're all pretty unreliable. Unreliable Bitcoin, unreliable 3D printing, unreliable machine learning. So another word for unreliable is just that it needs faith, right? So that is why I made Computer Faith. And Computer Faith is my email server. It's also a website. I'm show you the website just a little bit, just because it exists. So it's like a space. I made it like a space where you can like marvel and pray and condemn the computer. So it's like a twine thing. So like if you condemn the computer, you just get like an error. And so this doesn't work, unfortunately. I wish it did. So if you go to the computer room, you can like pray. It's quiet for a little bit. And it says, "So be it." And if you go back to the computer worship room, you can marvel at the computer. You get to see like all of this like abstract math and proofs. This is all garbage, but you know, you can like explore the physical space. So like courtyard. Oh, we're in the courtyard. Let's go to the cemetery. Oh, we're in the cemetery. It's all these like algorithms in the cemetery. So, anyways, that's Computer Faith. It's just like a Twine website. Um, but it's also a email server. And so what I'm going to do in a second is uh, it's a little unreliable email server. So it there's been many variations on what Computer Faith kind of meddles in the how it meddles in like your email. Basically, right now I have it kind of at that it will meddle in a very small amount of your email. So in 5% of the text that you send will be changed. So it's a little unreliable, little like hazy. I had it also so that like one time I had it so that it would translate your message to like a random Google language. Translate your message using Google Translate to like a random language and then translate it back to English. But I think that had problems because first of all, it like the whole thing of like creating Computer Faith was that so you could experience email that wasn't on Amazon servers, that wasn't using Gmail, that didn't touch a big tech company, and using Google Translate kind of made that a moot point. And so I've also kind of worked with Sol Saratia to make Computer Faith a more like kind of like tarot readings, and that it would like send you like fortunes back. But I think in this time, I really want it to be something that doesn't change your email too much because I really want to focus a lot on like our communication. And so in the schedule, like I said, I really encourage something that I always encourage, and I think I've gotten a lot of really good feedback on like this kind of information. Is I think there's a lot of benefit in having an email list of because email was made in the 70s and it's not really going anywhere, and so having an email list and having kind of a list of people that you can kind of update your life ambiently on is really beneficial. Also, especially because like I'm sure we all have like people that we love and adore who just like are not on Instagram or Messenger or Facebook or anything like that. Or maybe that's you, and and email is just the way to kind of communicate. And I love the idea of ambiently updating someone on your life. So it's not this direct thing that I'm expecting an answer, right? Because if I send a message to like my friend Thais, I'm gonna expect like an answer back, right? It's eventually not because I'm like impatient, just because like that's just like a human feature. Is that like if I talk to you, I expect that eventually you'll just talk back to me. But like with the email list, you can ambiently update someone if they have something like they relate to you, or they have something to say, they can respond back, or if they're busy, they can ignore it. So I really am a huge advocate for having an email list. I love my email list. I love everyone who's on my email list. One email list followers is like equivalent to 100 like Instagram followers, in my opinion. I wonder when HTML landed in emails. I love HTML in emails because it's HTML that has been seemingly frozen in the 90s. I think it was added in the 90s. Ray Tomlinson does not like HTML in emails. A lot of people don't, just because it's very finicky, and like I said, it's like writing HTML in the 90s. So I once tried to my email list. I can show you like an example of like what my email is. Oh my god, wait, what am I doing? Okay, I almost just open up my email, which like wouldn't be the worst thing, but it's like not good. So I have, it's always really hard to find it. But if anyone has an email list right now, uh, please post it in the chat. I would love to read it. I would love to be a part of it because, you know, okay, well, I don't have access to that just because my email is called Char Stiles, and that's obviously everywhere in my email. But okay, so back to the presentation. So, oh yeah, that's exactly what I said. Email list? No, start one if you want. That's my email list if you want to be part of it. This wasn't a part to make everyone part of my email list. Okay, so right now we're going to any kind of questions on like the ending presentation, because what we're going to do next is I'm going to be sending everyone an email who signed up through the With Friends with login credentials to Computer Faith. And what I want to do is I want to have some time, like give some time right now before you log into Computer Faith to think about what your like fantasy uh, email list or newsletter would be, fantasy or real. So if you're like thinking about making like an email list or a newsletter, um, you know, think about like what kind of like what you would want it to be, or what kind of topics you would want to cover, something like that. So I want to give like five minutes to think about that, and then I'm going to send the email, and then we can all log on to Computer Faith, and then have each other be our beta testers for our kind of like our new email system. Also, I really want to everyone to experience an inbox zero email, because that's always pretty freeing to have that. And I'm also going to give everyone tools to think about their email list. So this is like an old list of all these different types of email lists. If you're like kind of want to think about what your fantasy email list would look like if it was like in the 90s. And I also want to give everyone, oh, these are some questions to like start off, to think about, start thinking about maybe what your email is about. And I also wanted to also give you, because I know that there's a lot of ASCII art in this presentation. It probably got you thinking about ASCII art, because for me, whenever I see ASCII art, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a thing. I want to try to make it. So I want to give you these tools that help you make ASCII art. If maybe you don't have any ideas for your email list, but you still want to participate in our big email chain. So basically, it's going to turn into a big email chain, or a few email chains, like one chain per person. And these are great tools to use to make ASCII art. So I'm going to paste these in the chat. Oh, you misspelled your email. Oh, do you think you could send? I haven't sent the emails yet. Do you think you could? Do you think you could send your email to contact@charstiles.com? So do you think you could send your? Oh, I misspelled my email. Gosh. Yes. Okay, that is my email. Do you think you could send your email there, or and then I'll send you the message. And these are the ASCII art links. Yes, and these are the ASCII art links. If anyone wants to do that, just to kind of like doodle, some ASCII art. So basically, and another thing is that on Computer Faith, we're all going to be anonymous. So I'm going to be assigning you each anonymous emails. And so just to kind of, I wonder, like, there is some power in being anonymous. Maybe you want to share something you would be afraid to share with your name. So anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and send the emails to everyone right now. And what time is it? 46. Great. And so let's say, so let me look back at the schedule. I have to look. Okay. We're like right on time. That's kind of crazy. Let's say at 3:55, uh, we're gonna let's all log on and embark on LARPing Inbox Zero, starting your email-based community and using. This is just gonna be mischievous. I was gonna have it also like ask you questions, but then I was like, no, I really want this to be like just kind of like really about the discussion of like creating, like what would it be to create your email-based community. Char, is there anything specifically you want people to do right now? Write responses to your questions? Yes. So specifically, yeah, so you can write responses. Specifically, let's like I just want to let some time to think about like what your email community would be, email-based community would be. The questions are just in case you're stuck. I kind of have all these alternatives, just because that's such a hard question of like, what do you want your email community to be? And another alternative is that you can just doodle some ASCII art because you're anonymous, and that's fine. So I'm going to leave up the questions. And what did we do to you? That's to email. Okay, so I'm going to send the emails now, and you can use these to, let me actually say, and or doodle ASCII art. Yes, yeah, I'll put that up here just so people can see it. What would your email community be? Draft first newsletter to send to us on Computer Faith. I'll say to fellow participants. Oh, fellow. I'm going to so you have access to like everyone's email. I'm going to send like one email to everyone so that you can like reply all to that chain or start a new email chain. Since on Computer Faith. And then or draw images. Or I'm actually gonna say like these questions are completely optional. It's just something that I was thinking about, like, but I think for the sake of just clarity, I'm just having these two options so that you either draft your newsletter or you just doodle. Does that sound good? Great. Okay. So I'm gonna send the email now, and then I'd say, let's say at 4 o'clock, I'll send the mass email to everyone so that we could reply all to the email chain and kind of create this discussion, this anonymous discussion. So let me do that right now. Okay, let's look. And I'm gonna send one to, I don't think, yeah, I'll send one to Lee. And then I'm going to send up, there were some people who registered today that I'm going to send the email now. I just had to compose it because I just got their names. And then I'm going to send an email to the person who misspelled their name. Oh, wait, I know. So, Darch, I didn't get your email. Oh my god, I misspelled my email again. So, Darch, and I'm really sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Contact, look up how to. Anyways, okay, so I misspelled my email again because I just did. So it's contact@charstiles.com. Do you think you could send your email to that email, Darch, if you see this? Because I wrote constact instead of contact when I was telling you my email before. Also, if it's a little quicker, you could just write it here. But I also understand the need for privacy. No need. You got it already. Wonderful. Good job. Okay. So in 5 minutes, I'm going to initiate our email chain. Oh, okay. So let's see if I got you. If you didn't get your email yet, yes, Kyle, it seems like I didn't have you in my list. So let me send you the email now. If no one has gotten their email yet, please send me an email at contact@charstiles.com. Oh, okay. Yes, so Lee also asks if there's anyone who joined later. To get signed up, please just send me an email so I can get your email address so I can send you the login information. So again, my email is contact@charstiles.com. So that's my email. Just putting it again, just in case. So if you're joining now and you haven't received the email, please send me an email at that email address. And the reason why I'm using my Gmail or my charstiles.com email is because computer faith. So like I said, I've been thinking about email and kind of talking about email for a year, and like I made my email server, but it's very hard to maintain an email server, as I'm sure many of you may know. To like maintain your own email server, it's just kind of like a pain. And right now, my there's a chance, not for all folks, but for some folks, my emails get sent to spam, and so just for ease of communication, I use my Char Stiles email. But if you send an email between anyone else who's at Computer Faith, it's fine, which is why we're doing it there. And also, just to experience like what email that's self-hosted is like. I mean, it comes with all of these basically like shitty parts of it, but I think just to kind of get the feel of it all. So let me send that email to hello. Okay, cool. Oh, okay. Hello, this person. Also, this email is very unsecure, so I'm sure a lot of you've got the email by now. You probably can like figure out like the naming scheme uh, really easily. So just disclaimer, this email is extremely insecure, and this is more just for, I guess, imaginative email community creation. Okay, so I'm going to send the initial email in 1 second once I finish this, writing everyone's email out. Okay, so I'm going to send the email now. Uh, Send message. Okay. So if you get the message, please let me know if there's. Oh, yes. So yes, you can put the extra words at the end of your computer faith email. Oh, before sending. Rats. Oh, I just sent it. I'm sorry. But I think you can like if you can change your email when you reply all, and then in that chain, your email will be plus plus and then your extra words. That's a great idea. Yes, that's exciting. Wonderful. Okay, so this will be really short. This is like the first time I'm doing this kind of like. Oh, something else. Okay. This will be really short. So if let's see if you can reply all to the ideas that you have, and we'll only do this for like 10 or so minutes, and then we can wrap it up with some final thoughts that we have, that. Yes, and again, if you joined late and you want to participate in our Inbox Zero LARP, please send me an email at contact@charstiles.com, and I'll send you a computer faith email address so you can be a part of this community. You can also send attachments. That's the thing about RoundCube Mail, which is like this. Uh, it's this. It's just like a self-hosting kind of like open source project that folks have made. So folks like me who wanted to make an email server like can do that. we have some. Plus Yoda. Hello. Ruthless critiquers. Yes. I really would love. Oh, maybe I should just reply to this instead of typing. Oh, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna log on here, and then y'all can watch me do this real time. I was doing it on my other computer, but there's really no reason why I should be on that computer. Oh, I just did mail.com. Silly. Okay, cool. And then I'm going to log in. I started using, okay, everyone look away, actually. Hello out there. I'm going to reply with this. So for, I guess, those who are not part of the, who want to watch, but are not part of the, this kind of reply all email chain, I'm just going to do it from here. Reply all. Oh, and so basically, we're going to keep replying to all of our reply all emails. We're going to keep replying and feeding and giving each other feedback until, let's say, like about 4. When do I have? I just want to keep up with the schedule. I love myself a schedule. It's like 4:10 now. I'm going to give us like until 4. I'm going to say until 4:20 because I don't know how much of a discussion will be afterwards. Or it can be kind of asynchronous. I think that that's a good idea. Let's have it be asynchronous. So while I reply to emails, you can talk in the chat, or maybe that would be too much. I think that'll work. I'm very indecisive. That's okay. So I'll just be looking at the chat, answering questions, talking about anything, and replying to your email. Yeah, and I'll be probably doing this until like, let's say like 4:30, and then if I keep going, I'll keep going. But if not, that's a-okay. Okay, count me in. So many ideas. We'll call it a lit crit fest. I'm outing myself as I'm the last one. I'm 1111. Oh, wonderful. 11-inch screen. Also, what does the channel points mean? What should we say in the email in order to sign up? Oh, wait, I already have it. Great. Wonderful. I'm happy that this kind of worked out. It was kind of, I was really nervous just because it's like an extra step, right, of like trying to communicate, but I think we got everyone in there. Email is nice because it can be ambient experience. How can things float down away off the screen? Email. I'm just laughing at the because I know that this person didn't write it like this. This is computer faith at work. How can things float down away off the screen? Email tends to accumulate due to maybe there's a way to allow it to disappear gently, kindly, like a protocol on top of it. Bosco ASCII art is cute. Hello out there. Hi Faith. T is a low pressure transmission. Oh my god. I think I need to make it less replacey because this is a little hard. Let me change it. I'll change it to like, I'll change it to like 1%. Yeah, before I had it at like 40% changing and it would like, it was just like garbled. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, let me make it 1% because maybe we don't need computer faith that much. Okay, so I changed it to 1%. Okay, so someone said, how did you, this is, I'm really happy someone asked me this because it was hard to figure out, I guess just coming from, you know, whatever my background is. So basically, I'll do it on, no, I think that'll probably be dangerous, but okay. So basically, it's in PHP, so it's in some of the in the sendmail.inc file. That's kind of like how it handles the message formatting. So, for example, like how it handles like file extensions or something like that. Um, there's this PHP file that you can like get the message, and then like using like $ message, and then you can alter it. And so I'm just altering it. There's like been a few, yeah. And someone says, I love these garbled messages. It feels like hearing a muffled conversation on the radio. Yes. Oh, and someone, Darch says, some paid web hosting already got Roundcube installed, but then I guess you cannot do the 5% faith thing. Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun like messing with my server. The next thing I want to do is I want to really customize like the way that the interface looks like. So for example, I want to have like this say computer faith instead of Roundcube. Uh, but it's all in good time. Is there a way to see documentation of this email list? Besides uh, the documentation of itself, uh, there doesn't exist anything else. Would you? So what would you? What do you mean? So like, do you think you could elaborate, Dan? Oh, you weren't able to sign up. Oh, let me see if I got your. Did you get the email? It's my fault then if you didn't get if it didn't work for you. Um, that just I can send you the. Let me see if I messed up. Sent. Okay, Kyle got in. Great. Oh, Dan, I never got your email. Okay, Dan, do you think you could send me your email uh, to, and then I'll send you the. That's okay. No worries. Contact@charsales.com. Just making sure I didn't misspell it again. Please send me your email, and then I'll send you some login credentials. And that goes to anyone else who's late. There's still some email. I have a few extras, so yes. And then this process of like, this computer, I will never delete these email addresses, so it will always be there for you to log on. You can change the password, so like I can't even log on, which is 100% a-okay. I wonder, I actually have to look up to see if you can change the password. I think you can. Uh, okay, thank you. Let's see if I get the password. There we go. Perfect. you can. Yeah. Okay, so you should see all the emails in the account that I send you. Okay, I sent it. Is it okay to send 100? This is 10,000 emails. 10,000 emails a week or on this server. I don't think so. It only has, I think it has 2 gigabytes of RAM on it, and I don't think it could handle it. It started crashing. So I ran another email workshop at Hackers and Designers with Sol Saratia, my collaborator, and it was called Epiphenomenal. Epiphenomenal. So it was a pun. And the concept of that was subconscious email sending. So we would just let our subconscious send emails. It was super chaotic. I don't know if I'd ever do it again because it was also virtual. And so the point was that you were just supposed to send as much email as you could subconsciously. You're supposed to like write email and then subconsciously send it and just like do like a stream of thought. And then also just I gave them all the ASCII tools, and so they would make these big ASCII drawings and then send that in the email. And like at the end of it, the server could not send the email. It just kept like crashing the computer. Oh my gosh. Yes, yes. I mean, like this computer faith is also very trustful. In that I think you could probably hack it or break it really easily, and like nothing would be of consequence except the fact that it would make me sad. So if that's your goal, I'm telling you that's an option, but that's literally the only thing that I could see that being like of use of someone who would want to hack computer faith, because like I said, it gets sent to spam for so many people. It gets gray listed, and so sometimes it doesn't even get sent to spam. So the way that a lot of like email works is that if you send an email, it'll automatically, like if your server's uh, new, like for example, computer faith, it doesn't have a lot of like, I guess like email street cred in like the email client world. It'll get gray listed, and then you have to send it again for it to be like ungray listed, because that's something that a lot of spammers don't do. But also my like email is like really small, so. Cool. Okay, I'm gonna keep reading these. Hi, Faith. I think this is Faith. That's my opinion. Um, T is low pressure transmission. Well, in about all of the best email relationships I've ever had were always ones that felt just as new, if the er, 6 hours or 6 months in between replies. Yes, yes, I love that. Alongside form and building as my own size, these small, low pressure interactions felt so much more exciting than the constant pressure to acknowledge every little Slack notification. Every work email, etc. today. How do I feel when I check the inbox? Nervousness, sometimes hoping something in particular, sometimes thinking, don't bother me. Have you How has your experience transformed? Now everything is online. It's not a place to steal away. How do you use email versus other forms of communication? I think the value of email is that it's asynchronous and not limited in length. Uh, it doesn't demand, but I find it increasingly feeling like other forms that demand like read receipts, live. I think this is like live, like the dot dot dot. That's just my impression, and so on. What would your ideal email community be? Relaxed, like letter writing, and as fun as sending someone a zine through snail mail, a zine through snail mail. Uh, do it with all the fun things you can do digitally. I want to relax online. Me too. I've been, yeah, I've been very high key. Ooh. Should I add a trap element to this reply? Maybe a goblin? Too literal? Ooh, I know that there's people who know about email more than me, because I feel like that's the kind of people that are attracted to this workshop, is because people who already know that email is really cool. And that's why I'm like a little nervous. So if I seem a little nervous, it's just because like I know like people like there might be people here who's worked on email longer than I've been walking or even alive, and so that is always really intimidating. Like if I talk about email a lot of times, like it gets checked really fast. Someone's like no, yes, or yes, or something like that, which is like fine. And I think that's a cool part of. I think that's the challenging part of this. My idea is something that I attempted but didn't fully follow up with. I really like the podcast called Weirdest Things I Learned This Week, twitter.com/weirdest thing. As a programmer, I have a ton of weird shit that I have to learn each week. So my idea for the community/email chain is exactly that. What's the weirdest thing I learned this week? I tried it out, but honestly, I didn't stick with it. I want to give it another try though. I think part of why it wasn't working is I felt like I was kind of writing into the void. Maybe the next iteration it would be better to get a group of people involved, because then there's some interaction, not as much onus on me just to write something every week. Plus, the format of the weirdest thing I've learned every week podcast is fun. Each week, 3 people present their weirdest thing, and when the audience, if there is a live audience, votes on the weirdest thing. I don't know. I think it could work. What do you think? I really think that this is great. I'm gonna reply. Oh, I'm gonna reply all. What was the weirdest thing I learned this week? Weirdest. This week. Okay, so this week I was reading a lot about astrology this week, and that's always really weird. I know everyone here should probably like I didn't come to sign up about and learn about astrology, but sorry. It's just what I've been up to. I really think I never was into astrology like my whole life. I was kind of like I just scoffed at it. But I think recently, just with like I said, with all of like the uncertainty, it's been like really appealing and soothing. So I'd say the weirdest thing I learned this week is that so there's an astrologer that I watch, and she was talking about how on the day that the electoral college meet, there is like some Pluto Uranus like conjunction or whatever, and it's gonna be that means like so Uranus is like chaos and like Pluto is like mysteriousness, and so there's gonna be like mystery and chaos whenever the electoral college meets, and so that although I'm sure a lot of people come here to not talk about politics, so that's just like I guess that's what's on my mind. So basically, like the stars say that it's going to be a really confusing election. I'm going to think of a weirder thing that I learned. What's a weirder thing I learned? I'm going to say the weirdest thing was the process of the artist Andy Goldstein. Goldsworthy. Goldsworthy. Okay. This isn't that weird, but I think it's interesting. Artist Andy Goldsworthy. Specifically, I think it was 17 days, 15 they I think these numbers could be off. Oops, I shouldn't sign with my name. Also, I think everyone's replies should be to everyone. Okay. Yoda. Oh my god, look at everyone's replying. I miss the dial-up times when you tried to open and load as many tabs as possible before your parents wanted to use the landline. I'm really curious what this is. Is this like an email worm or something like that? I'll have to look it up. I always learn so much from the participants. Maybe it could just be a list where you send a weird thing you learn to at any time when enough people, it could be quite regular. Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. Sign me up. Oh, and if anyone ever decides to like make your email list, send it to me or like my contact at Char Stiles. I'll immediately sign up. I'm already down, whatever it is. And you could also send it to our computer faith group. Hello, Faith Mail. I completely forgot to answer the questions earlier, so here are my thoughts. How do I feel when I check my inbox? I always get a little excited when I see a letter in my inbox from someone, especially if the subject line is strange but not spammy. Ooh, how's your experience been transformed? Emails allow me to receive little surprises every day. Mailing lists I subscribe to. It's so different to all my other feeds. How do you use email versus other forms of communication? I enjoy writing email because when I write an email, it is contained capsule of information. I don't tend to write short replies without context. What would your ideal email community be? One that is slow, thoughtful, where you could tell people are listening more than they are talking. Yes. From planet Earth. Tree Wizard. Hello! I'm going to reply. I never knew to reply at the top or the bottom. I'm going to reply at the top. And then I'm going to okay, well, final discussion. I'm probably gonna log off in a little bit. But if anyone's still here and they have any last questions or um, comments, you can ask them in the chat now, or you can email me at. I'm gonna type my email one more time. Or yes. You can email me at contact+feelingcontent@charstiles.com. You know, to send me any other what maybe if anyone creates one of these email lists or email communities, please let me know. I would love to be a part of it. Oh, there's one more. I'm going to read this. Hi! Great, thank you. And I got a Doritos chip. This was very fun. I'm so happy. Yes. There was one more thing I wanted to share is that there was something that I did find that was a practical way to use email to chat. It's delta.chat or delta.chat. I started to use it, but then I can't give any feedback yet, but I think it's really interesting. So basically what it is that it's a messaging platform that uses SMTP as the protocol to send it. So it doesn't, oopsies. And so it doesn't have it has their own, it doesn't have its own servers. It exists over email. and you can chat with anyone with their email address. There's no need for them to install Delta Chat. So it's kind of like if you wanted all of like the instantaneousness that's missing. But I think a lot of folks here have kind of echoed that they like the slower form of email. So maybe this isn't the way to go, but I just thought it was really interesting, so I thought I should mention it. Pond email. Ooh. Pond. So this is something Darsh recommended. Yes. Pond is a lo-fi email-based alternative to traditional social networks. Ooh. You can call it a social newsletter service or a much better looking listserv, or Usenet, but make it HTML. Ooh, wait, this is so cool. Oh, that's so cute. Okay, so it's kind of like everyone. So it's like Pond itself is a community. So you don't use Pond to. I mean, I guess you can. I have to look more into it, but it looks really interesting. I might use it. Yay! Make an email newsletter. I do use. I know it's like a lot of this was talking about kind of rejecting big tech corporations, but I do use Mailchimp to send my emails in my newsletter, and I honestly, if anyone has any recommendations for like a good email newsletter like host, something that'll just allow folks to be able to like unregister when they want, without having to like personally email me, or to like hide everyone else, like basic security stuff like that. I'm really happy. Sadly, someone did suggest TinyLetter when I asked this question another time, but TinyLetter is like, it's like one of those like Nestle things where TinyLetter is owned by Mailchimp, so I think there's probably some good alternatives out there. But yes, that's all I have for everyone today. I will update this with these slides. These are different slides, so it's not up right now. But I'm gonna put these slides on charstiles.com/email slides, just so you can like come back to it and like if you want to look at any of my peek at any of my my speaker notes. That's always fun. You can go there, and I'll upload the slides. So I've had not the most user-friendly way to manage a list, but it's worth a look. I love that list. Here we go. SourceHut. Oh yeah, SourceHut. Okay. Welcome to lists.sr.ht. This service provides mailing list hosting. SourceHut, the hacker's forge. Features of this service include mail submission and patch review via the web, threaded searchable mail archives, tools for working with a third-party mailing list. Yes, I can't say I understand every bullet point, but it seems like it's very interesting and also very like I want to get into it just because it's like sometimes I enjoy like a challenge like that. Obviously, like making an email server. Yeah, I'll definitely check this out too. So that's all I have today. Thanks so much everyone for joining me, and thanks so much to Lee for organizing it all. I was such a pain to schedule time with this because I think I changed the time like 6 times. It was like a uniquely like I was being like uniquely like a difficult person to schedule a workshop with. So I really appreciate Lee's patience, and I'm so happy to finally have done something for Babycastles. Babycastles has been a huge inspiration for me, specifically in my like live coding journey. So I when I'm not talking about email, I will live code visuals in GLSL. And the first time I saw someone doing something like live coding was at Babycastles in I think 2015. There was someone who had a keyboard over their neck like a guitar, and they were like performing like that, like as typing, and that just like struck me as something that was like so amazing. And I think that kind of like led me down the path of live coding. But anyways, big thanks to Babycastles. I love everything Babycastles. I love what you do. Everyone should donate to Babycastles. If you like this workshop, this wouldn't have been possible without that. So, we all love Babycastles. Oh yes, Venmo, Babycastles. Um, yeah, so everyone have a nice day.